You were up this morning super early. When did you guys know the announcement? Because we saw Josina's tweet yesterday. Josina said, hey, everybody's expecting an answer tomorrow. You're up at 3 a.m. this morning just sitting on it, waiting on it. Is that how it went? And what was the process when you released it? Everybody immediately said only 6 games, I assume, to you, like you were the one that made the decision.
Well, good thing I don't read the comment section under the tweet. So yesterday I land in Vegas at around 10:30, and I get a text like, all right, the decision is coming tomorrow. Sue Robinson has informed everyone. So the first thing I did was, and I don't love to report timeline like this ruling is expected then, because that's just a great way to look dumb because nothing ever happens when you expect. But I called my bosses and basically were like, let's get ready. And so we got Pelissero in Cleveland with Steve Weish. We got Judy Batista, who does a lot of great league stuff for us. I'm here in Vegas, so we changed our camera crew time to be real early. So woke up at 3, we're camera ready at 4 a.m. Vegas time, and the news broke at 5:22, I think, Vegas time. And 6 games. I know it was a surprise to some people, especially when it was so out there that the league wanted it to be a year indefinite suspension. Like, that was really part of the narrative, was that everyone was sort of debating a year, which made people think it was going to be longer. But remember, this is not the NFL making the decision. It is Sue Robinson. She is jointly appointed. She has been the one, hearing the NFL presented the cases of 5 women. She heard those and made her decision, and now we'll see if the NFL appeals.
Okay, so 3 days for the NFL to appeal this process?
Yep.
How would that
3
go?
days, and I would imagine what they would do is, in part, gauge public reaction, right? Like, obviously, immediately everyone reacts, but then
only 6 is going to trend for the next 4 days, I think. Maybe 5, maybe, and then I assume that's only going to continue to get a lot. How would that work? Would it be the lawyers that represented the NFL in the case with Judge Sue Robinson would say, hey, we would like to appeal? Then that appeal goes to Supreme Court, which is, Roger Goodell, right? Mm-hmm.
Roger Goodell or his designee. So he can appoint someone to kind of like represent him in this appeal. The interesting thing here, I think it's interesting, it's kind of nerdy, but is this is the first time they've used this process. So if the NFL jointly negotiated this with the NFLPA, so if they take this process, which they negotiated, and say, yeah, we're going to appeal this ruling by this judge who is jointly appointed, like, what does that mean for future precedent? Like, because the NFLPA is watching, and if there's a ruling they don't like for next time, maybe they appeal, or maybe the NFL sets the precedent now, like, this process was agreed upon, we think it should be more games, but we will let this stand. Because if the NFL does appeal, then I would imagine Deshaun Watson and his people take this to court.
Okay, so this is not over until the NFL says they're not appealing it. And if the NFL was to appeal it, then they're appealing the own process that they put in, basically. So it's just, there's layers of, okay.
Right, and the appeal is part of the process, but yes, they would be appealing the ruling of the judge who's jointly appointed.
Why did they only talk to 5 people? And will her full report ever come out? Because it said, thousands and thousands of pages? So did she investigated the acts and then held the acts against the personal conduct policy? How'd the process go from your understanding, obviously?
So the NFL talked to more than 10 people. I'm not sure of the exact number, but it was more than 10 accusers. But they presented 5, and 1 ended up getting thrown out because the NFL didn't talk to that woman directly. So really, it was Judge Robinson making the decision based on the allegations of 4 women that the NFL found credible. And this is a major distinction, because in the public, in the media, it's been 20 cases. Or 25, 26 cases. But this judgment was based on 4 cases.
And this is the final 4 that 3 of the 4 just settled? Is it those 4?
No, I don't think so. I don't think these were like the last standing of the 4, because so they were just 4 of the ones the NFL found credible. There were no allegations of violence. So there was allegations of sexual misconduct, but no violence. So that's why when the judge says, is non-violent offender, it's because no one to her alleged any violence.
Okay, so people are going to be pissed regardless. This was such a serious, and there were so many allegations, so there's no winning in this whole thing. 6 games, light in your eyes, what you expected or no?
I mean, 6 games has been sort of the baseline for like you've done something really wrong, like for a PED suspension. For Ezekiel Elliott, got 6 games. 6 games has sort of been like the standard for like serious allegations. So I'm like not surprised. Maybe it seemed at one point it might be more, but it's been so important during this whole process to not kind of ride the wave of reports and emotions, because one thing we've said pretty consistently is only the view of Judge Robinson matters. So any of the reports, like none of it meant anything. So 6 games is what it is, and he'll play October 23rd against the Ravens.
And that Ravens game will be the 10th anniversary of their Super Bowl as well. So that night already was supposed to be huge. How are they going to monitor fans? This is real. Those Ravens fans, they don't get ever talked about like, oh, the Philly fans are, ruthless. Steelers fans, bunch of drunks, obviously. Boston, bad fans. Baltimore fans are awesome in my eyes. They are very, very. Yeah. Is the NFL assuming that this is just going to become a massive thing here on going forward?
You mean as far as just the reaction?
Yeah, every stadium is going to be.
Yeah.
I would think that's probably right, but that's okay, because one of the things that happens when you become, as you know, like an NFL player, is you do things and you draw a reaction for it, whether it's positive or negative. And I would imagine that it's going to be negative. I would imagine he'll be booed, and considering what Deshaun Watson has faced, and obviously his own doing, I'm not saying that, but just the criticism and everything from the last year, like I imagine he is more than ready to deal with a bunch of people yelling at him.
I think whenever we heard the NFL was pushing for an indefinite suspension of Deshaun Watson for the 24, allegations against him that are obviously incredibly serious and we've chatted about for the last year and a half, there's been a lot of happenings around this with other quarterbacks, a trade, the biggest contract in NFL history with the most guaranteed money. This has been just so much shit into one story. Judge Sue Robinson says 6 games. Did you expect this? What are your thoughts on it all? And how's Ohio reacting to this, AJ Hawk?
That's a great question. I've not been out and about to see how people in Ohio are reacting to it. But I knew last night when I saw the NFLPA's statement saying we will not appeal it. I'm like, okay. It's like 8 games or less, I would imagine, because they got tipped off somehow. This is not going to be a full season, right?
How about the NFLPA? As soon as they put that out, I think you weren't the only one that thought that. I think everybody was like, oh, the NFLPA seems happy. Yeah, we're not going to appeal it. Are the fucking assholes going to appeal it?
Exactly.
You tell us. We respect Judge Sue Robinson. It's what the NFLPA said last night. We respect the Honorable Judge Sue Robinson. Does the NFL? You tell us. I don't know. We would like them to make this promise tonight that they will not appeal. And then that thing rolls out 8 a.m. this morning or whatever, and the NFL's like, we're thinking about what the next steps are. Ultimately, in the end, though, they appeal this in the next 3 days. It goes right to Goodell, just like we were saying at the beginning of this whole thing, AJ.
Yeah, exactly how we said it. So I don't know, is it a bad look for the NFL if they do appeal it, or is it a bad look if they don't appeal it?
So we were talking about this at the end of the last hour. This is the first time this process has happened. This is a massive deal for the new CBA. The NFLPA and the NFL had big. Are you all right over there? Microphone good?
Good. Just getting situated.
What, are they coming after you? Are they attacking your microphone now?
No, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, I had some mic arm issues. I think I have it figured out.
Oh, is that when you blew it? You
fell.
tried to light
Remember
on
it fell one time?
Oh, yeah.
I just had to hold the whole mic stand for
yeah, you had your arm up like this. And by the way, once it started moving, like you were embarrassed. But like for us, it was like, how have you held that for an hour and 10 minutes?
Ridiculous.
It's because that's Hawk. You know what I mean? Hawk's got the worst knees on earth, and he walks 28 miles every year at Lake Tahoe. It's
ridiculous.
And no sells it, by the way. No sells it at all. Do you remember, what was it? Hole 7? I think I looked at you and said, I am so fucking sore. How come you didn't tell me? You're like, oh yeah, your body's gonna feel terrible. That's just part of it. That's just part of it, whatever. And I guess nobody's
part of the game.
Yeah, it's part. Anyways, so this stuff, the NFL and the NFLPA though, massive part of the last CBA was the fact that Roger Goodell was the judge, jury, and the executioner. So no matter what happened, it went to Goodell's desk, and he was just able to throw out suspensions, fines, whatever he wanted to do. And in every locker room, it was a problem. So there was somebody from every team that felt as if they got fucked, even if the ones aren't public that you hear about. There's always the punishments that you hear about that are suspensions and the public hears about. There's a lot of other stuff that happens, uniform fines, whatever, everything else that happens on a day-to-day that you don't even hear about, that basically all trickled to Roger Goodell's desk in that last CBA. He was in charge of everything. So the NFL, PA, and the NFL players were like, in the next CBA, we need somebody else other than Goodell who does this. So Judge Stu Robinson was this position that was found. And as AJ and I were learning about the Judge Stu Robinson experience in the NFL, we literally said, oh, so this ain't shit. This is going right to Goodell anyways, because we were players in the locker room who had these conversations that even put, by the way, the only reason why Judge Stu Robinson is even a thing is because NFL players got so pissed off that Roger Goodell was the only one making any other decisions. So in the ruling from Judge Stu Robinson today, they said in the conclusion, like, we're trying to make a shift in culture and we're trying to set a precedent, but there's no fair notice or something like that, or a fair heads up to the players on how this is going to be done, what the process is going to be. So I have no idea how this plays out, because you would think Goodell would want to empower the process. That's brand new, right? But if they appeal, if the NFL appeals, who's deciding to appeal? Wouldn't it be Goodell? That would be the one deciding to appeal, and then he's appealing to his desk, which ultimately in the end gets us right back to where we were in the last CBA, which we have been saying, but people said we were wrong, AJ.
Okay, yeah. I mean, show us, I guess. If that's not the case, I would like to see someone explain to us how we are wrong in this process. Now, they can argue, hey, no, but, Raj is going to stand by Judge Sue Robinson's decision, and maybe he's going to always stand by her decision until he doesn't like one of her decisions, and then he can appeal and then do exactly what he has done before. So this is good to bring somebody like a third party in, but if that third party doesn't have final say, it doesn't matter, really. And
obviously, the way it was told to me and AJ and us stooges when we were wrong, when we were literally saying, oh, so Roger's making, this is a Roger Goodell decision. Yeah. We were told, no, it's just like the court process. Judge Robinson's ruling is final. Unless it's appealed, then it goes up to the Supreme Court, and we all said, who's the Supreme Court? And turns out, it's Roger Goodell. Mm-hmm. So, okay. So it was always going to end up on Roger Goodell's desk unless the NFL just accepted the ruling, which it turns out they're probably not going to over the next couple steps. And he could babyface here. Could he not? He could Roger Goodell, which we are not talking about the ruling being like 6 games surprised all of us, I think. I think 6 games has surprised all of us. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about the process of how we got here to this ruling and how now we are living in a world that I think any of us that had been in a locker room and heard the way this thing goes, we all expected, which is it is now Roger Goodell's decision to whether or not it's 6 games or not, which is right back where we were with the last CBA.
Yes, you're right. Raj could empower the new process. Or he could say, oh, you guys didn't like when I was judge, jury, executioner? Guess what? Still am. I'm going to fucking change this. I'm still going to do what
This is what I would have done.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I still can. Yeah, we are appealing. Mm-hmm. Who's we? Well, me. Who's we? Who's me? The NFL. Sorry, let me call my lawyers that represent. Hey, you need to tell Judge Stu Robinson we're appealing so we can fucking run this thing right up to me. Boom, right up to me. Suspended indefinitely, just like we said for the. That could happen.
Is anyone saying that, though? Has anyone else explained? Like, it probably will not. Roger will probably stand by this, I would guess. I don't know, though.
First time this is happening, right? So his decision on this now sets the precedent for how serious this is going to be taken later, right?
And he knows that very much. So, like, man, what if he's like, man, why couldn't she have given him 12 games? That would have been a little like that. I wonder where his head's at or what he's thinking, because does he look, what happens if he appeals and says, no, we want 12 games? Do people like Raj more or less?
Well, then
more.
Yeah. What about people? Okay.
In the
Even
I'm trying to think of different groups, different regions. Do they feel any differently?
Yeah, you're right. I think like any.
I don't know though, man. Even Browns fans I've talked to, they're all like, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't understand how he did this. The guy's made plays, but everyone's torn that I talk to. I think they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of Browns fans have publicly said, like, we have been put in an interesting position.
Yeah.
Like, our team has stunk for a long time.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We had a quarterback that won, and everybody hated him. And like, we had to get rid of him. So we now have a guy who's like a top 5 quarterback in a lot of people's eyes, hasn't played in a year. Oh, there's a lot of shit coming alongside of him, though. Don't blame this on us, the Browns fans are basically saying. But Browns fans also will say, just like Steelers fans said, I think Ben Roethlisberger threw for like 3 touchdowns in his first game back. And I'll tell you what, there wasn't a lot of Roethlisberger coming out of Hayton coming out. He did his time. Didn't go to court, scored touchdowns, but the rest of the NFL didn't forget. The night he retired, it was trending.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is what's going to happen with Deshaun. If he plays well with Cleveland, Browns fans will be like, don't want him near our family, or near our daughters, but.
Love watching him.
Great football player, and the rest of the NFL is just going to be like, every game is going to be like that, AJ. They're Baltimore. Hey, first game back, Baltimore. That crowd is fucking ruthless. That is going to be, I assume that's going to be primetime.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I assume it's primetime game.
Yeah. Well, hey, think of this. Also, like whatever Deshaun has done, we know how great he can be on the field. If this doesn't work out and the Browns aren't very good and it doesn't work out with Deshaun, add this to another like chip on the shoulder of Browns fans. Like, oh, here we go. This is the only organization where something like this could happen.
We had a quarterback that beat the Steelers in playoffs in Pittsburgh. We obviously run his ass out of town. Now we get this guy who gets suspended 6 games, then 12 games. Then he comes back, and guess what? He hasn't played in 2 years. He stinks.
He's terrible.
Our team's bad, and now we're on the hook for $230 million guaranteed. That's what the Browns are. Yeah, you could see that promo coming from somebody wearing a dog mask outside of a keg. This fucking team. Like you can already see it happening almost.
Also, based on what Rap Sheet said earlier, and I mean, he doesn't know for sure, but if they're actually going to see what like public opinion is, then Goodell would have to be incredibly short-sighted or obtuse not to be like, no, we need to suspend him more than 6 games.
What do you think is going to... Hey, if he...
Everyone's pissed about it.
Yeah,
if he appeals it, though, is he not cutting that process right down at the knees? Right
Exactly.
He is, but he probably doesn't. Does he like the process? It was forced upon him with the new CBA. He wants to be the final guy, I would imagine. I would imagine, though, Raj doesn't... Do you think he wants to push off some of his responsibility he does have, or does he just want total power?
So in the entire thing, they said that Judge Sue Robinson had to read through thousands and thousands of pages of shit, right? 3-day trial, voluminous.
Yep.
Voluminous, which we learned how to pronounce there a little bit ago. Voluminous amount of
Pantene
shit.
Pro V commercial.
Is it? Do they say that in there? Because somebody in here said that
I
as
feel
well.
like they would.
I said that's not what first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, because you want to add a little bounce to the ounce, a little volume. You want your hair to be voluminous. Yeah, so maybe Goodell's just like, thank you, Judge, for going through all that shit that I don't have to do anymore. With that being said, 4 more games on top of that. We got a deal, right, Judge? Thank you. What if they come out? What if Goodell and Sue have a fucking, What if they what if, what if they do a full... What if they're like, yeah, she read the stuff, I read the stuff, I've been around, she's been around. She said 6. I said, they want indefinite. They said 6 to 8. Feels like I just gave a guy a year for gambling. Got to move a 10, 12. All right, Sue. They fucking high five on the way out of the press conference. Anybody else fucks up, you'll see us again. Walks out of there like that could all of this, because it's the first time this is happening. We have no idea what the fuck the next steps are going to look like.
We could peel this back a little farther. Raj works for the owners. What are do you think the owners want more games?
Well, so there was somebody that tweeted me about how in the personal conduct policy, like players and owners and coaches are all judged the exact same, and precedent in the past with owners and GMs and coaches that have done something like this, because he was designated non-violent. Did you see that?
Is that a bit? Yeah, I saw that. That's like a big distinction, I guess, when it comes to penalties?
I assume that's why Sue went with 6 as opposed to anything very serious, because everybody the 4 cases that she was presented, that she said on page 1 of her 16-page report, 15-page report with 1-page conclusion, she said she could only go off what was presented to her on the record. And Ian Rappaport told us that they went off of 4 of the most credible allegations that they had. Is who she heard from.
Okay. Does she hear directly from them? How does that work?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was a thing. Dude, I have no idea. It's the first time any of this happened.
Do the other cases also like play a part in this? Because like if they appeal this, right, and then the NFLPA sues because they appeal, and then the Gruden case continues, and then the Dan Snyder case continues, and then Alvin Kamara has a court
Raj
date
doesn't
this
want this
week.
going on.
Like,
So
they're-
Gruden case is not with the NFL. Gruden case is with, I think, actual courts. This is an NFL investigation with
okay.
Sue. Kamara certainly.
Yeah.
Sue Robinson might find that might fall to Sue Robinson's court, right? Like Kamara's thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What is he at? Like, does he have a punishment as of now?
No, I think they're still
he still has a court date coming up. I think it's either this week or next week.
they're still collecting information. They said so. That's whenever the NFL is like, we have somebody working on it, but we are nowhere near ready to make a decision. And they probably think more stuff is going to happen, which is like his legal court
Yes,
case.
exactly.
But Gruden, I believe, is a like I don't think that's
I think so.
that's not an NFL court.
That's him versus.
Yeah, that's versus
Okay,
NFL.
okay, yeah.
So that one is not for Roger Goodell to decide. Well, unless he's got the judge in his pocket, which we don't know. We don't know. We don't know how. Hey, we don't want to throw any judges under a bus. Don't do we, AJ?
No.
No, I mean you can't mess like federal judges, especially. You don't mess with that.
I got no fucking problems with them at all. Nick, you were going to say something. I feel like that was going to add to the conversation. Nope, he actually just shook his head. No, I got nothing.
Snyder is though, right? Was that's still
Oversight committee. What happened from that thing? He won for.
It was 11 hours and it was private. It was they wouldn't
See,
release
that's
to the
he
public.
got it. He won.
Yeah.
He went to his boat, his yacht, said duct taped his pockets. Can't subpoena me. What are you talking about? I'm on my boat. I don't see it. Oh, I just lost my vision. That's crazy. I'm blind.
Exactly.
What do you mean, sir? If you see it right here.
No.
Not me, pal. Nope. Oh, put it in my hands. Sorry, duct tape my hands. Where? I've never seen it. See ya. That's what he did, and then it got private. Now we didn't hear any of it.
Yeah, we won't
exactly.
hear any of it.
What's the deal?
Is there a chance
Hopefully we
with
do.
Goodell, like no matter what he would like say he does do 10 games, people are still going to say like only 10, you think?
Yes. No matter what it would have been. Because those are very serious allegations. And they were
Just a lot of people, a lot of allegations. That's the big thing. too.
voluminous.
Yeah.
Voluminous amount of allegations.
He did enough
Some would
wrong,
say.
though, that she did say in the report, though, no more personal towels. You got to get your team issued towel when you get a massage.
Joining us now, club therapists only allowed.
Sorry, I read it differently. That
Yeah, it was nothing about a towel. Jesus.
That's going to drive him insane.
Yeah.
All right.
Look out.